Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name's Kathy with Kathy's Krafty Creations and DIYs. I am tickled pink that you're here today. Today, I'm going to be collabing with Sammy over at Unicorn Dust Designs. I am crafty crushing over this girl. I love her, and we're going to be talking about her a little bit later on in the video. And I'm going to be giving away a $25 Amazon gift card to one of my subscribers. So in order to get the full details, you got to read the description box below, and you got to watch the whole video. But I hope you want to watch the whole video. Toward the end, I'm going to be telling you what you need to do to get into that giveaway. All right, so let's just jump right into the farmhouse and let's see what I've been churning up for you all week. We're going to start off with DIY number 1. I've got 3 of these new signs. It comes from the Dollar Tree, and I ripped them open and I pulled the little tabs off in the back, and I wanted to keep the words because you can always use those for a later DIY. And I had to use my handy dandy little dryer because they didn't want to come off very well. I've got my antique Waverly wax, and what I essentially did was just put a little bit in a cup. I put a tad bit of water in with it, just a small amount, and I brushed it on. Now these guys already had some type of a covering on them. It was kind of waxy feeling. So you know when you put that antique wax on at first, it doesn't feel like it's going to stick. Like I could use that baby wipe there and actually rub it off if I wanted to. Rub it all the way off. So what I did was dabbed it, because when it dries fully, it's going to be fine. But for now, we didn't want any of that brown to come off, so I just dabbed it so it would kind of have like a dirty-ish look, if that makes any sense. I've got some Dixie Belle white, and I went over each one of them when they dried with just a very wishy-washy little paint job, just kind of neither here nor there. It was very just halfway, if you would call it. And I also dabbed it off, and I kind of wiped it off in spots because I kind of wanted those two colors to blend so they could dry, and I had this certain idea in mind, and when they dried, that's exactly what they did. So I've got my little chicken here, and I am known as the chicken lady because I've got all my little chickens, and they act like dogs because they stand at the door all day, at my back door, actually my front door, and they stand there and they look in the window at me all day long, and they peck at the door. It's so strange. But anyways, I got some chicken wire. And essentially what I should have done, and I realize this now, is I should have put one piece of chicken wire on all 3 of these together, but I didn't know what I was going to do yet. So I just used smaller pieces of chicken wire, and I used my nail gun, and I popped my nails all the way around there, my little clamps, you know, because I wanted to get it to stick really well. And if you've ever worked with chicken wire, it's a pain in the tail, guys, but it's beautiful when you finish. So I took just a regular pair of scissors and cut the corners off of that because it's so much easier just to use your scissors. I got this scrapbook paper at Hobby Lobby, and it's the shiplap look, and I used this little template to cut out the 3 backs for my signs. And I just popped them right down on there with my Elmer's glue stick. It's my favorite way to put those on anything because with the Mod Podge, a lot of times it bubbles up on me. And with the glue stick, I have no problems ever. And so I really like the glue stick method. Okay, after that, I took my each one of my little signs, and I used my Cricut to make out farm fresh eggs. And I don't usually show myself doing the process of the Cricut because I am still learning and I'm not very good at my Cricut. And I got each one of the words, the little signs there, if you will, and I laid it down, and I actually just used that chicken wire that was in the back and bent it around the back of that sign so that it would hold the words in. And that's what I used for the backing. I didn't even really have to use any hot glue gun. There was 1 or 2 spots where I felt like I needed it, but not much because the chicken wire worked well. And I've got a piece of the poster board here because what I wanted to do was make this like one complete sign. And that's what I was saying at the first. If I would have known that I was going to do that, I would have just used one piece of chicken wire across all 3 signs. But I didn't know that I was going to do that. You live and learn, and that's kind of how crafting goes. And so I just used my hot glue gun and I put each one of those down. This gave it a much stronger hold on the back. It is the, not the poster board. I always call it poster board, but it's the foam core board. And I've got my white apple barrel paint, and I am going to take and distress everything with this white color. And I've got this old chippy brush. It's old as the hills, and that is my favorite chippy brush because it seems like the older they are, the better they function. And it's real wiry, and it just does a great job at distressing. And I went over all of the words. I even went over like the words that are inside the chicken wire, the farm fresh eggs. I go over that a little bit too because it makes it look old. And then I take my little chicken and I distress her with the white. A fun fact, we have a Rhode Island red chicken that's my favorite chicken, and her name is Penny P.O. Her Penny because she's the color of a penny. Oh, I've got my black chalkboard paint, and that comes from Dollar General, and I'm going to distress her and the sign with this black. But back to my story. My grandson loves to watch cartoons in Spanish, and you know, here in America we say that the chickens say cheep, cheep, okay? But they say Pio Pio, and that's how Penny Pio got her name. We are from Tennessee, and we don't have a big imagination, so we just said she looks like a penny, and she says Pio, so we call her Penny Pio, and she is my favorite one because she is the sweetest of all my chickens. Okay, not that anybody wanted to know, but it was just a little fun fact about me. So I take Miss Penny Pio in her Sunday best, and I propped her right down on that sign, and I think she's gorgeous, darling. And I've got one of these willow wreaths and that greenery bouquet that comes from the Dollar Tree. I pulled it apart. Now these little wreaths, I got them at Amazon. They come 12 in a pack, and they were less than $1 a piece. Very well worth it. They are adorable on all my crafts. I love to use these. And I will link them in the description box below in case you want to grab some. And so I just used the little sprigs from that greenery bouquet, mostly the purples because I was going for like a lilac theme. And I just put it all around the little wreath, and I used the green, and there was a little bit of pink in there too. And Penny Pio agreed that it just made this sign just adorable, and she loved it, so I'm good. I had to stop there for a minute, guys, and take a little breather because the first part of this video was just boom, boom, boom so fast I couldn't even keep up with myself. But guys, we have to compile like 5 or 6 hours worth of video down into about 20 or 30 minutes, and it's really hard, and so I use a lot of the fast motion because I let you get the point and the gist of what I'm doing. If I'm doing something that I feel like I need to slow down on that somebody may not understand or something, then I definitely slow down on it. But for the most part, I just explain what I'm doing, and I try to go a little bit quicker. There's the wreath, like in real time. And I made this cute little bow with the lace ribbon that comes from the Dollar Tree. It's my favorite. It's so farmhouse, and it goes with everything. And not just farmhouse, but it goes with everything, guys. It's gorgeous. So I put it down on my little sign, and I used my hot glue gun to do so. And with that, guys, this sign was finished. I mean, it didn't really take me that long. The hardest part was the chicken wire, and you do have to fight with the chicken wire. I do have one battle scar from the chicken wire. It got me on the finger. But hey, I'll live because this looks good on my wall. You know what I'm saying? So I've got 2 of these small little eggs. These guys came from the Dollar General, and they're like a foamy type egg. And they were colored, and I didn't want them to be colored. I wanted them to look like a real egg. So I colored them white with my my white color that comes from Apple Barrel. And I put one down, and then I was like, you know what, that don't look right. So then I put another, and I put a little bit of antique wax on them, because if any of you guys do have chickens, you know that my chickens don't lay white eggs. They lay brown eggs, and most of them do anyway. So I kind of made my eggs a little brownish. But here it is, and I think Penny P.O. looks good, y'all, especially with that black outline that I put around her. It really made her pop. And we're going right into DIY number 2. I'm playing with some of these giant popsicle sticks. And what I did was I just created at the top 2 45-degree angles. And then I cut across, straight across the top of them to make them look like the top of a fenced post. Fence post. All right. Sorry about that. I was kind of tripping over myself there for a minute. I use these giant craft sticks that come from Walmart, and they are just a little bit smaller than like a paint stir stick. So they're big in size. They're great to use for your crafting, and they're super cheap. So I used a total of 9 of them, and I'm making a fence post. There's 6 posts, actual little posts, and then there's the little one on the top and one on the bottom that holds it together, and I made a little Z formation. I bet you guys that are watching this for the first time, watching me for the first time, think that I am nuts. But guys, I like to laugh. I like to have fun on my channel because, hey, look at what's going on in the world right now. Everything is so terrible around us. It's okay to come here to this channel. It's a safe place where you can come and laugh and be silly and just forget about things for a minute. I mean, it's all I can do to just get through every day sometimes, because it's just with the stress that we live through in our normal daily lives, and then all the sickness and stuff that's going on around us. It's just nice to have a place to come and feel safe and laugh and go on. And I've got this white color from Dixie Belle, and I'm going to paint my fence post white. I'm not always silly, and I don't always talk. Every once in a while, I just be quiet and let you listen to the music. But it's not very often. I'm sorry. And guys, while I'm thinking about it, on a serious note, you know, I was talking about how awful sometimes our daily lives are just on the regular. If you guys have anything that you ever want me to you know, bring to the Lord in prayer, I'm a praying woman. I will pray for you. And don't you think for a minute that you're alone in your struggle, because you have somebody that really doesn't even know you praying for you. So it always makes me feel special, you know, if I know that somebody's praying for me, just to know that somebody else even cares about my burden that I'm carrying. You know what I'm saying? So in all honesty, leave it in the comments below if there's anything that you want me to pray for. Honest to God, I will do that. I joke a lot, but I am a praying woman, guys. Okay, I've got my antique wax color, and I just went over that fence post. I dusted it lightly. And I've got my chalkboard paint that comes from the Dollar General, and it's that black color. And I just kind of outlined it. In case you hadn't noticed, if you're new to my channel, that's kind of my go-to thing. Whenever I distress something, a lot of times I get the black and outline, because it'll make whatever you're distressing kind of pop. And then I use my little sanding sponge to just kind of go over everything, because it kind of rubs that antique wax in and dirties it up, you know, made it look like an old fence post. And I've got this little bottom of a sign that came off of, I think it was something from Christmas, and it was from the Dollar General, and it was one of those little trucks. And if you stick it down in those grooves, it helps the truck stand up. And I painted that white because we're going to use that to get our fence to stand up. And surprise, surprise, I've got one of these little wreaths again like I used in my first DIY. But I just got them not long ago, so I'm kind of like wreath happy right now with these things. I love them. They are adorable, and they're as cute as they can be for like Easter crafts and stuff. So I've got that reindeer moss, and I was like, I better put my little finger protectors on because, girl, I have been burnt so many times by this hot glue gun. It ain't even funny. Like, the last time I burnt myself, it went to the bone because dummy me tried to grab like a paper towel and wipe it off. And when I did that, it's like it pulled the whole skin off, and I was like, ow. I mean, it was terrible, terrible, terrible. Okay. So I gave this little wreath a haircut. Once you get that reindeer moss on there and you're happy with the way it looks, the amount that you've got on there, you just take your scissors and you give it a little haircut. And that's when it comes alive. Kind of like me. When I get my hair did, I come alive, girl.
Oh, you're so funny.
Now, you didn't think you was going to get through one of my videos without my chicken girl, did you? No, not a chance. So I took my little wreath and I put it down in the middle of my fence. And I made a little shoestring bow from a ribbon that I got from Hobby Lobby. It's called ticking ribbon. It's the black and white. I'm not sure why they call it ticking ribbon, but that's what it's called. And so I just put that down and I made little dovetails on it. And right here's where I go in and I put my hot glue at the very front bottom part of my fence, and I'm using that little stand that I got from Dollar General that came with the truck to help the fence stand up. I also used about 5 of those little square cubes that come from the Dollar Tree, the little small ones. I put those in the back of the fence and just glued those up, and it just stood up beautifully. I took the boxwood pick from Walmart, and that's what I'm going to use to put in the bottom 3 pots. I also filled those little pots up with just little odds and ends that I had. I don't know the names of any of them because they were just pieces. I keep all my small pieces. Then I have that lavender pick from Walmart, and I put that in the top so it can have some color up there. The bottom is just green, but I wanted a little color. And guys, this is just adorable. It's cute as it can be. After I got those little terracotta pots on the fence, I realized that I did not put my jute twine around them. You know how we like to wrap the jute twine around the top of the pot? Okay, so I tried to get that jute twine around that pot, and it was very difficult. So I only put it around maybe 3 of those little pots, and I said, hey, forget it. It turned out cute as a button anyway, guys. Look at this. And I stuck on the top a piece of jute rope to make it look like a little rope thrown over the top of the fence. And if you'll look down on the bottom, there's a broken terracotta pot. I did that on purpose. It just looks to me, I did that to make it look like over time it just fell off the fence and broke. I didn't glue it down because I didn't know if I wanted to keep it permanent. So you guys let me know in the comments below if you think it's cuter with it or without it. Here it is without. Let me know. I like it with. Hey guys, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do that. And there's a little bell at the side, and when you tap that, it'll give you 3 options, and hit all. And that way you can see all my videos when they come out. Even if this isn't your first time here, come on and subscribe. What are you waiting for? Hey, let's jump right into DIY number 3. I made this cross out of twine a couple of weeks ago, and I showed it in a video and said, man, I wish I would have made that on film. And then one of my subscribers, her name is, I think you pronounce it Suzanne, but it's with a Z. So Miss Suzanne with a Z, you had asked me to show you how to do this one, and here it is, sweetheart. I told you I would not forget you. This is a gorgeous DIY. It's really easy to do. Even a beginner can do this DIY. I hope this inspires you to make one. I just love it. So what you do is you just start up at the top with your brown twine, and it's the one that comes from the Walmart. It's a little bit thicker than Dollar Tree, and you go around about 2 or 3 times, and you make sure that you stay in line. Now, I didn't put glue every time that I went around. I put glue when I started, and then you go up about 4 or 5 times, and then you glue it, and you cut the brown off. Then you go with this white color twine. I got that from the Dollar General, and it's in the like kitchen section because it's baker's twine. And since it's thinner, I went around maybe 7 or 8 times with it so it could, you know, show up a little bit more with that thicker jute. Okay, so I went around about 3 or 4 times, and then I'm gonna put the glue down and cut that off, and then I just go again with the brown. This is super simple to make, and since I covered up the middle part of it with that wood slice, the way that I did it was so super easy. Do you see the cross has the top, the 2 sides, and the bottom? What I did each time is I went to the top, and then I stopped. I did one side, stop, the other side, stop, and the bottom. I hope that makes sense, but I found it way easier to do that instead of trying to make just one long twine going around this whole cross, because you would never make it look right. I hope you can see from the picture here the way that I did it. See, I'm going to start this side, and I did brown, and I'm going to go around 5 times with the brown, and then you're going to stop that one, and you're going to glue it off. Make sure every time that you put the glue on and you stop it that it's going to be at the back of the cross, because you don't want that showing. And then you're going to do the white, then you're going to do the brown again, and you're going to do the exact same thing on all 4 corners of that cross. Now I've got this really sped up because this video turned out to be way longer than what my normal videos are, and I figure that people don't want to sit for like, you know, 35-40 minutes watching the video, so I try to compile it to give you the gist of what's going on as quickly as I can, so you're not sitting and just watching the same old repetitious over and over and over. So I sped it up just a little bit, and here in just a second I will slow it down so you can get a good look of what I have done and be like, oh, I see what she's doing. It's very simple. Like I said, you just do the top part, and then you do one side and then the other arm, if you will, and then you go down the bottom right there. Very, very simple. And so far, when we finish with the twine, this is what we've got. We're going to take our lighter and we're going to burn all the little hairs off of that. Some folks are worried that they're going to burn their house down, but don't worry, because I held this lighter to this twine for a very long time, and there was no problem at all. If anything, it just turns it a darker color, and it's really pretty, actually. If you're afraid of that, just do it over the sink. I painted the bottom part black with that chalkboard paint from the Dollar General, and then I took that wood slice and I just hot glued it onto the middle part. But first I took my Dollar Tree spackle. There's a little hole in that where you can hang it up like an ornament if you want. I filled it in, and I took a baby wipe and the antique wax from Waverly, because to me this is the easiest way to put your wax on. Plus, it dries very fast, and it's just the correct amount that you need. Now, I don't show myself doing the cricket, like I said, but I put How Great Thou Art because that's my favorite gospel song, and that's what I had on the first one. And I have some little flowers that are cutouts. They're wood cutouts, that little tiny, you can barely see it there on the top of the wood slice. I got those at Amazon. I'm going to link those in the description box below. And I painted that with the celery color from Waverly. I also have another one of those little ticking ribbon, and I made another small bow, and I put just a little shoestring bow, and I put that on the cross too. There it is, and you can barely see the little flower there. It's very small, but it just added a little touch to it, and it was adorable. And I didn't forget to cut my dovetails on my little ribbon. And here is the finished product. Is this not beautiful? I forgot to add too that I had a ribbon that had all the names of Jesus on it. It says like Son of God, Savior, and things like that. And I put that on the left side. On the right side, I just put a plain gold bow. to make it look like a sash. Now we're going into DIY number 4. I got one of these little truck signs from the Dollar Tree, but I'm not really into the strawberry thing, so I just got my Gerber knife and I cut like maybe 2 or 3 times, and I just cut the side and the bottom and just kept cutting away until it just kind of snapped off. And then I used my little Gerber knife to like get the little tidbits off. And if you can't get it off that way, then you can always use a pair of scissors and just kind of cut the remainder off. Then I sanded it down with my sanding sponge. Now the reason why I decided to use the front of this truck is because I'm not a very good artist, and I wasn't confident that if I used the back that I would be able to recreate the lines. The front has a lot of glitter, and I sanded the far out of the front of this truck. Trust me, I sanded it to death, y'all. So I took my Arteza paint pen, which is the best paint pen in the world, and I went over all the outlines there. I went over the wheels. I didn't want it to look cartoonish, you know, like Kitty, you know, so I went over everything. And I did sand everything down when I was finished so it wouldn't have such a harsh black line. So I just basically went and outlined everything on the truck. Then I took my Waverly silver lining because I wanted a light color so you could still see the black outlines. I went over the whole truck with that silver lining. The silver lining is a super light gray color. It's almost like a white gray. So I went over the fenders with it. I went over everything. And I liked this because the fenders were raised on this truck, which I really liked that. I thought it looked good in the end. But see, you could still see, here I am where I finished, you know, outlining it. And I also went over it with this small paintbrush, and I used my chalkboard paint from the Dollar General, and I'm outlining it even more. And I use this stuff called Distress Oxide by JB Ranger. And this is weathered twig color. And basically anything that you want to distress, you just rub it on there. You can rub it down the sides of whatever you're trying to distress, and it makes a perfect distressing. It just looks awesome. And then I use my finger to rub it in, and it just kind of made this truck look like an old dirty truck, you know, looks like it's old. I used a couple of popsicle sticks to make it look like the back of this truck had like those old wood rails on the back of it. My uncle had one of these old trucks back in the 80s, and it's from the 70s, I guess, or maybe 60s. And I remember riding in the back of it, and it had those old wood panels, and I had so many good memories. His was red, though. He would load all of us up into the back of that truck and take us down to the creek to swim. And every single time when I see one of these old trucks that are so popular right now, or that you get at the Dollar Tree or whatever, I think about my uncle, and I remember those times, and man, those were good memories. On my Cricut, I made Fritz Farms to go on the side of the truck because that's my last name, and I couldn't come up with anything else. So I made that, and I put that on the truck. And I bought these stamps off of Amazon. The ones that I got have farm animals on them, and I picked the one that has the little chicken with the baby chick, and I just put a stamp on the side to make it look like, you know, it's a chicken farm. Because what else would I put on the side? I'm the chicken lady. And I've got these airbrush pens that I got from the Five Below store, and I just used the red to make his little crown red. I rolled out some burlap, and I cut about 5 long strips in it, because what I'm going to do is use these strips to just wrap it around my green floral wreath. And that's just going to be a background. I don't like to leave my wreaths looking naked. So I just take that burlap wreath and I just start
pulling the strips around the wreath and gluing them. Then I've got some hydrangeas that come from the Dollar Tree, and I'm basically just going to glue them at the bottom of the wreath and toward the back of the truck, and then I glue just a couple of sprigs of lilacs in there just to give it a little color. Now let's talk about this Amazon gift card, guys. I want you to read all the directions down below, but basically you have to subscribe to my channel. That's number 1. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. Number 2, give me a thumbs up. Number 3, go to the comments below and put the word penny, like Penny P.O. And if you guys have been watching this video, you know what Penny P.O. is. And so good luck to everybody. That's all you got to do. Guys, we're going to draw next Saturday here on my channel. Just make sure that you subscribe because that will knock you out of the contest, and make sure that you do the thumbs up and make sure that you comment penny because any of those 3 things will knock you out of the contest. And I want everybody to have a fair chance to win. But I thought the Amazon gift card because that way you can go and buy whatever you want to buy, not what I'm buying for you. You can buy what you want. Okay, guys, so we've got the truck finished, and I've got this bow. Look at this. Oh, it's so cute. It came from Hobby Lobby. No, I'm sorry, it came from Amazon. It's got chickens on it, of course. And I wrap it around the top. That's what's holding the wreath up. And I put it on an old picture frame that I have. And look how cute this is.
And guys, today I am collabing with Miss Sammy
over at Unicorn Dust Designs. If you're from my channel and you haven't watched her, I'm not sure where you've been, but go over and tell her that I sent you and say hello. And if you're from her channel, welcome, guys. I am so happy that you came and checked me out. I'm happy that you stayed to the end. And guys, I just love Sammy. Like I said, I'm crafty crushing on her. Her channel is booming. She has some of the most practical DIYs right now on YouTube. She is a doll, and she's hilarious to watch. Like, I sit and laugh at her the whole time, which is what I like because I like to entertain while I'm crafting. So it's like we're 2 peas in a pod. I just really look up to her, and she hasn't been on YouTube that long, and like she's that popular. Everybody that watches her loves her, and the moment that you come across her channel, you're going to love her too. For my last DIY, I took 20 of my beads and I put them in a jar or a little container. You can put them in anything basically. And what I'm going to do is put the antique Waverly wax in a little bit of water, and I shake them, and it's going to give them the color instead of painting each one. And I am really going to fast forward this video because it's one of those jute rope cords, and most of you guys know how to make them because I think every DIYer has made these on their channel except for me. So quickly I take my antique wax, I put it in the water, or I put it in the jar, put the water in, and then I give it a shake, shake, shake. And that's my first. You don't want to do too many. That was my first little go around. Then I did a second. I noticed the second one came out way darker, and I liked that better. It's just because I put more antique wax. So I did them all the same color. They look like little milk duds. Okay, I took a baby wipe and I wiped them off, and that's the most important part. You want to wipe that wax back off, and they turned out gorgeous. This is a little sign that came out of our camper, and it says camping is my life or something like that. And my plan is to paint it with a silver lining paint from Waverly. I only gave it 1 coat, and then I'm going to take it to the Cricut, and I'm going to print on there, raised on sweet tea and Jesus. In the South, ain't that the truth? But honestly, guys, I wouldn't have it any other way. There is nowhere else in this world I would rather be raised than right here in Tennessee. I'm very proud of where I'm from. I might talk slow, but I'm not dumb. All right, so I got my small paint pen out, or my paintbrush out, and I used the paint that was left over inside of that antique wax, just to highlight all the way around that charm because it's actually in the shape of a mason jar. So I highlight the top of it and all down the sides of the jar. So basically here, all I'm doing is taking that jute cord, the one that comes from the Dollar Tree. I put a little bit of tape around the end so it's easy to get the beads on. And I just put those 20 beads down on the twine. And then at the very end of that, I'm going to tie that sign that says raised on sweet tea and Jesus. and I'm going to attempt to make a tassel because I'm not the best at these. This is only the second time actually I've ever made one of these.
All I'm doing is tying that Raised on Jesus charm to the end of my jute rope cord. And guess what, guys? Somebody wanted to stop in and say hello. There's Sabby. He wanted to stop and make his appearance. He said that he had to show his face at least once, and he gets paid milk bones for each gig that he does. I just went around and around my hand about 10 times. You can do however many you want. If you want it to be thicker, you go more. If you want it thinner, you go less. I went about 10. And then you take another piece of the jute and you go around the top a couple of times and you tie that. And that makes the little top of the tassel. Then you cut it and fluff it out.
And this is how it turned out in the end, guys. Raised on sweet tea and Jesus. I love that. I love it, love it. Okay, and then I took my little lighter and I burnt the hairs off the end of that. And here's a final reveal of everything, guys. I hope that y'all enjoyed my channel. If this is the first time you've been here and you're coming from Sammy's channel, I am so glad that you did. I hope that you subscribe and become a part of my little growing family here on YouTube. It would mean the world to me. And guys, I am just so thankful that you held on till the end.
This video was a little bit longer than my others. Now guys, remember to get in on that giveaway and don't forget the 3 things you must do. And I'm going to wait until next Saturday, the 13th, to announce the winner right here on my channel. Be there or be square. Y'all have a blessed day. Bye-bye.